In this video we'll be demonstrating how to hide an index field from the Kofax validation operator for the option of not collecting specific index data to be used for tax assessment processing. There are occasions where you wish to hide indexes and not populate Tax Manager with data that is captured from your notice of assessments. So what we'll do is we'll just basically go through the index fields we're talking about that's being captured for a Tax Manager assessment process. As you can see, for this particular client for a 2014 return, we look at the type of indexes when we process a notice of assessment. And the index fields that we're interested in capturing are things like the actual payables or refunds, if there is any assessed for the actual return, the document ID or the primary sequence number, the date issued, the date payable if it's a payable. This is an internal process date field, or the date sent to client. And here are some of the options where some clients will decide that they may not want the PAYG, the general interest charge, or other amounts payable or other amounts refundable. They may not decide to use those indexes when they manually key in a tax return. By default, we capture all of those values wherever it's applicable to the form, and we will try to present that data so that you can use it in the event of updating Tax Manager. So it relates to the form. So where the information is being held is that when we process, for example, a notice of assessment EFT refund, not only do we store the document, the scanned PDF file, against your document repository. In this case, this one's set for virtual cabinet, and it's set to file the document as a PDF document using all these index metadata captured fields. So the form not only has a filing methodology, but it also has a thing called events. And one of the events we've assigned to that form is what we call the tax assessment update event. And in here we capture the data from Kofax at the batch processing stage, and we populate the appropriate index fields. And in here what we've done is we've mapped what index fields from Kofax we want to post to the index fields on the left hand side, which equates to the tax assessment page. So as I said, some clients may or may not wish to post the PAYG, the general interest charge, other amounts payable or other amounts refundable. However, most companies do want all of those values and will ensure that those indexes are visible at the time when an operator decides to scan and process. So let's assume we don't want these index fields. The business has decided that that's not important to them. So the thing we need to now do is start up the Kofax capture program, look for the administration program, and make changes to the form and hide the indexes. So the important part is here you need to ensure you back up / export your batches before you make any changes. So we've assumed you've done your export and backed up, and now we're going to look at a particular form. In this case, let's have a look at how the indexes are perceived. So if you right mouse click and select properties, you'll see the indexes appear in the display label column, and you can see on the far side of the screen the hidden column with values false or true. False basically meaning that that index field is being presented, it is not hidden from the Kofax validation person. So you can see some of them are deliberately hidden. So by factory defaults we will set up which index fields are to be hidden and which are not. If you decide that you like to use the index field called other refund and other payables, you can change it from a false value to a true, from a true value to a false. True meaning that it's hidden from view, and therefore the operator doesn't get to see if there was any information that was captured. If you make any changes to your settings from the factory defaults, it's very important that you make a note of those changes, because when we create an update, we will reset those indexes back to factory defaults. And we have a matrix that shows all the indexes and which index fields are automatically captured by the Kofax system, which aren't captured automatically, however they're presented for manual data entry, which index fields are actually hidden from view. So the blue icon basically means that the actual refund for a notice of assessment EFT, we perform an OCR and we do our best to capture it and present it to the user. Same with the financial year, and you'll notice the general interest charge has got a red indicator on it. So red means that we show you the index field, it's not hidden, but we can't capture it. So what we do is we allow the operator to manually find it on the document and enter the data manually. We also have some index fields on some of the forms, you'll notice, that are hidden from the view, but also they're manually entered. So if you decide to unhide them, then they are still a manual entry. So basically any of the marks with a blue bubble indicate that we do our best to try to find it and OCR it and present it to you. Everything where there's a red, we will try to show you roughly where we think the data may be located, and it's up to you to confirm that. So once we decided which form we don't require certain indexes, we just right mouse click, go to properties, change the values from false to true if you want to hide them, and then you need to publish the batch class to save those changes. If you don't publish it, of course, those changes won't be applicable to the next time you run the batch class. So once you've published the batch class, the next thing you should be doing is exporting it and backing it up so that in case you've made a mistake and you need to refer back, you can always refer back to this setting or the previous setting if you need to do any type of restores. So the backup is once the changes have been made. If you have a system crash and you want to set it back to your specific settings, you'll need to import those batches. So the import process basically is the reverse of the export. You select the file, you open up the file, it unpacks it for you, you ensure that you select the batch class you're trying to import again, and the important parts are those two items below. Once you've done that, you've now reinstated the batch class according to that last export. You'll notice it doesn't have a blue tick on it. That's because the document now, or the batch class, needs to be published. You need to publish the batch class. So basically that's shown you how to export and re-import in case you've made a mistake and you need to reset it back to your default settings. So the next thing we need to do is look at what else we need to do to the event to ensure that if we do hide the index fields, that if they're an automatic capture process with a blue tick on them, that they don't still post invalid data. So what you need to do is basically remove those entries from the event so that if they do accidentally capture the data and don't show you the data because you've hidden it, that you actually remove them. Otherwise you'll end up getting bad data posted to the tax assessment manager because you've not given the Kofax operator the chance to view it. So this is quite important, that if you do hide any indexes, that you also remove them from the tax assessment update event.